Okay, hopefully the sound has come back on. Sorry about that if you didn't get the sound straight away. So, as I was saying, in terms of the UK, there is a strong emphasis on independent learning and providing students with strong transferable skills. The UK degree programs are taught using the tutorial system, so you'll be attending lectures, seminars, lab classes, and you'll also be doing group study. And then also, as UK degrees are shorter than in the US, you do have the opportunity to undertake a year in industry, so that's actually working for a company through your degree program. And as they are shorter than US degrees, that allows you to complete in the same time that it would normally take you to do a 4-year program in the US. So that enhances your overall experience and overall employability. Okay? So as I say, UK degrees are taught by leaders in their fields. So all of our academic staff have to continually be doing research and publishing this whilst they're at the universities and teaching. So this really does mean that you're being taught by real leaders and that you're at the cutting edge of your program. The other main difference that we have seen from US institutions to UK institutions is that there isn't a lot of teaching done by graduate advisors or TAs in the UK. It's very much a less prominent area, so you will actually be taught by the lecturers in nearly every module that you have. We will have some research students who do maybe a few hours on our programs, but generally speaking, they're more there as advisors. So you'll actually be taught by the people who have done all the research. Okay. Okay, so then moving on, though the programs are shorter in length to the UK, we've also looked at the contact time that you have, and that has been shown to actually match with either the 4-year undergraduate degree or a 2-year postgraduate degree. So you are getting that key contact time that you would need. Okay. As the degrees are focused on 1 or 2 areas as well, you'll tend to find that you'll be taking up to 8 modules per year. And that means that in a 3-year undergraduate programme, you'd be taking 24 modules in that one area. So that's truly allowing you to become a specialist. And at master's level, again, 8 key areas within that field of study. Okay? Assessments come in a variety of forms. So you'll have written exams, you'll have practical demonstrations, you'll have presentations, you'll have essays and hands-on research experience, okay? So that means that it is, that little bit more, needs a little bit more interaction from you in terms of our programs and, can be a lot more challenging for students. But we think that the skill sets that you earn out of all of that education will be very, very, very strong. Okay, UK universities very rarely employ a multiple choice examination system, so it's more likely to be an essay writing or problem solving exam that you would take with us. Okay, and students will need to demonstrate the application of knowledge rather than just a repetition of knowledge within UK universities. All students will need to complete a research project at all levels of the programme, as I said, from bachelor's through to master's, through to your PhD programme as well. Okay. So UK universities offer an award-winning, dedicated teaching informed by world-leading researchers. They have programmes in humanities, sciences, social sciences. We have more than 2,000 institutions in the UK. So though we're very small, we have a very, very strong educational power. And universities can vary in size, location, age and programme of study. So it's important that you have a look at all the different options open to you. The UK is also known for the quality of its education and a strong tradition of academic excellence. Okay, studying in the UK will also provide you with international experience and an international outlook. Many UK universities, as I say, provide those opportunities to gain work experience as part of your degree, but they also are very practical in the way they teach. So, for instance, in our law school, we have a law clinic that goes alongside that, whereby you can actually practice on real life cases. In terms of our IT school, we also have an IT clinic where students will actually be working with companies, providing them with new programs, hardware, software, but also serving the university's IT needs. So this all draws back to giving you a very, very strong, both academically rigorous and practical education. UK graduates have gained influential positions in major companies worldwide. Just to name a few, I've just given you a few options there, but in terms of BMW, the London Stock Exchange, the BBC, HSBC, Microsoft, so lots of very, very big names there. Okay. One other difference that you might find in terms of UK university to US universities, and this is starting to get more towards the social side of your studies, is that in terms of accommodation, the major change we seem to find students have is that you actually are given your own accommodation at UK universities. So most UK universities will guarantee accommodation for undergraduates in their first year, and in your second and third year you typically live off campus. Many universities also offer postgraduate accommodation, as well as assistance in finding accommodation within whichever area or city you're in. As I say, it's single occupancy rooms, so you have your own room, there's no shared dorm rooms, and quite often you'll have your own bathroom facilities as well. Through doing that, you have lots of options in terms of whether you'd like to be self-catered or catered, and we have a wide range of foods within all of our universities to suit whatever needs you have. Students will have a built-in community when coming and staying in halls of residence, and the rooms are fully secure. They usually are provided one price in everything, so there's no additional prices you need to pay, and things like internet and electricity, water are all included in that for you. There are also different durations depending on what students want. Some students only want the accommodation for the time that they're actually in classes. Some would like it over the holiday periods because maybe they're going to have family or friends come visit them. So that's something that you could look at with each university. So then moving on, what to expect from student life. So let's look at the academics of it. So you will need to think carefully about what you want to study, what you like to study and what you're good at studying, and where you want to do it and where it's going to take you. Okay? In terms of teaching style, it will be demanding, it will be challenging. There will be a variety of assessment methods, and you need to be prepared to express your opinions and participate in discussions in class. That's something I would say that we are very, very keen on in the UK. You'll need to do reading, researching, discussing your opinions, establishing a point of view. These are all very, very important parts of our course. And you need to expect a balance between teaching learning and research and self-directed learning. So it is a very independent process in the UK. We do offer you full lectures and seminars, and actually you can get hold of academic staff very easily in the UK, but we'll also expect that you'll be taking on that responsibility yourself. One example I always use for students is that you can often get a mandatory reading list, you can get a more elaborate reading list if you want to, and then you could get a reading list that is going to incorporate all of the different resources that you might need. So it all depends on how interested you are in doing studies that are above and beyond the standard that you would need, but also what that's going to give you. You will need to learn how to organise your time efficiently. I often get students who say to me, how long will I be in classes for? The contact time that you would have would normally be somewhere around about 20 hours per week, and students say, oh, well, that's not much. That leaves me plenty of other time. That's 20 hours of contact time. You would then have around at least 12 hours of reading time, at least 12 hours of group study time, and then on top of that, all of your coursework, and revision that you would need to do. So once you factor in sleeping, that is actually quite a lot of time that you would be spending on your academics. As I say, most of the tutors and the lecturers are there for you at all particular times. So they'll be there obviously during your lectures and your seminars, and they'll have office hours. But a lot of our teaching staff say, you know, contact us whenever you need us. So if you send an email, within a day or two, they could probably meet with you if it's outside of their office hours. And then they're always involved in research. So if you wanted to get more involved in research, you could do. So definitely go along and say, I'm interested in your particular area. Is there some way that I could help you with this? Maybe be a research assistant. And then the other thing is that even though we offer focused degree programs at the universities, and that you might be studying one particular area like economics, if there was another area that interests you, we have a lot of open lectures at UK universities. So if you wanted to go along and hear a lecture on politics, but you were studying sciences, that's no problem. Go along to the open lecture. It's always good to learn more about other subjects that might interest you in the future. Okay? Okay, so then moving on to the extracurricular, the social and the cultural experiences that you have within UK universities. So there is such a wide range of experiences that you can get with us. You know, we do have large universities and then we have small universities, but everything will be offered to you within each. UK universities offer students such a well-rounded experience within your academics, within your social, and within the idea of diversification. The UK is very multicultural, and we have had a long tradition of having international students come from all around the world. Many campuses offer on-campus entertainment, including clubs, festivals, outdoor events, to meet with every student's needs. Okay? In terms of sports facilities, there is pretty much everything that you could think of within universities, and they do have a lot of inter-institutional meetups that they have. So these can be, depending on how competitive you are, you know, if you want to be in the university first team and you want to compete on a national level, at an international level, then there's definitely options for you there. If you're just doing it for social enjoyment, then there are other clubs for you as well. So there are all different levels for you. It is slightly different to the US, I would say, in that in terms of the people work in the profession, so in the footballing profession or in the American footballing profession, they don't tend to be sourced out of universities. So there is international meetups, there are national meetups, but you wouldn't be pulled out from a college team necessarily in terms of the UK. There are over 100 different sports clubs and they're all free for you to join. So it's about making the most of your time and making the most of the facilities at the universities. In terms of societies, if sports is not your thing, there are over 200 different societies that could be around your academic programs or could be more to do with your hobbies. And if you can't find a society that you particularly wanted to join, well, in UK universities, we're very keen on encouraging students to start different societies. So if you can find 5 other students who are looking to join your society, then you could actually approach our Students' Union for some funding to set that up. So, and that's always a great thing to put on your CVs. So definitely think about that option as well. There are enterprise opportunities. So if you are quite entrepreneurial and you're thinking you want to start a business whilst you're in university, many of our UK universities have space for our students to start businesses out of and facilities for them to do that. At my university, we have the Kent Enterprise Hub, where you can very much start your own business whilst you're with us. So, and we've had some great businesses start out of our university. So that's definitely something to think about as well. And then there are student newspapers and radio stations. A lot of universities have theatre facilities or cinema facilities, so we have that based on our campus. Some other universities are more allied to different theatres, but that's something you could definitely take advantage of. Moving on, we all have orchestras, bands and concerts that you can take part in. There are constant festivals and multicultural celebrations. So at our university we have an arts festival in the summer, which is any kind of art that you can think of. We also have a world festival that happens in the February to basically celebrate all of the different students and different cultures that we have. You have bistros and cafes and restaurants and bars on campuses, so you can really have a great social time there as well. And then there are city centre events that are run by different universities, and great access if you're more of a countryside person, there's great access to that as well. Okay, and then the last thing would be that you're coming all the way over to the UK from the US, so why not take that opportunity? We are a gateway to the rest of Europe, so I mean, for example, at my university you could take a train to Paris in 2 hours, you can take a train to Brussels in 2.5 hours, or you can fly within 45 minutes to 2 hours to many destinations, and there are very low cost carriers. So you're already there, why not venture into the rest of Europe as well? Okay. So we have very welcoming environments in the UK. As I said, we are a favourite destination for many international students across the world. And it makes it easy for you to access the rest of Europe, as I say. And we have students, full support for students coming from Europe and from the rest of the world. So, you know, there are things like a welcome week when you first come and these other festivals that I mentioned. And there is international food and cuisine. But there's also great support facilities, which I'm not sure all students take advantage of. And this is definitely true of our home students as well. But we often have a lot of computing services. We also have things like academic services to give you advice on essay writing, to give you advice on presentation skills, to give you advice on exam preparation, right down to note taking. So I remember when I went to university, the very first time I went, it was a long time ago now, so everything wasn't available on the web the way it is now, but they would give you a printout of the main notes from the university, and they'd say, okay, highlight whatever you think is important. By the end of the lecture, my whole page was yellow. So we even help you with guidance as small as things like note taking, because it can differ from country to country. Okay. And then in terms of, I mean, I've just had a question here that asked about language. Yes, in the UK, we all have slightly different accents to here to you in the US. And that would differ. In the South, you tend to find that the accents are much easier to understand maybe than in the North, but you'll kind of get that through different lecturers, and obviously we adapt for that as well. And in terms of language facilities, if English isn't your native language, then we also have facilities to help with that as well. So we have additional English classes, or if it's more things like math that you need additional help with, we'll also help with that. So there's lots and lots of support. Okay, so then one other thing that you might get used to in coming to the UK, I mean, it's less so true for, I think, North American students, but maybe students who come from around other parts of the world, is you will have to get used to the weather in the UK. So depending on whereabouts in the country you're going to go, we do tend to get a lot of rain in the UK, but we also get quite nice summers as well. And in the winter, we will get summer snow. So it's kind of, you get all 4 seasons. And that's what a lot of students like about coming to the UK. But it is something that you will have to spend time adjusting to as well. Okay. Then the other aspect in terms of what students usually ask me in terms of getting ready to what expect when they come to us is the culture shock. Now it does happen. It happens less, I would say, with North America than with some other countries, because it's a Western society as well. But you will get some culture shock, and you will get some sometimes when you feel slightly more homesick, I would guess, than other times. And these are things that you all need to kind of take time to get over, but the best way to get over these things is to get as involved as possible. Okay, so it will be challenging, the courses will be challenging, living in a new environment away from home will be challenging, but just make the most of the opportunities that you have. Okay, and use all the different resources available to you. So we have student clubs for you where you could meet other students from around the world, but we'll also have counselling service. Use your academic advisors, they're there for you. You'll be allocated an academic advisor when you come in, but you'll all have all of your teaching staff. So it's really just to get as involved as possible. Okay, so tips for making the most of your degree. So we've told you how a UK degree differs in terms of US degrees. We've told you about the different sort of social environments that you're going to get involved in. Now how to make the most of your degree. Okay, so we do have a very multicultural society, and we do welcome cultures and influences from all over the world. People are generally very friendly, tolerant, and you may be surprised to hear informal. I think that people always have this idea that in the UK we're super formal, but actually we can be very relaxed as well. The academic community in the UK is extremely close-knit, okay? So that's your advantage, to actually use them. You are now one of them, because you're coming along to study alongside them. So do get advice from your lecturers, do get involved in research that's happening at the university, do ask what else is happening around the UK. We're very, very happy to put you in touch with different academics at different universities, and in terms of things like research, at the end of the day, will all come full circle back to us. So we're very, very keen to kind of get you interacting with students from all around the UK and around the world. Though UK degrees are very focused, there is a great deal of open lectures, as I said, and guest lectures that you can get involved in. So these are all things that are not compulsory, but just, yeah, really go for it, throw yourself into it. And then we do have careers and advisory services that are there for you all the way through your programme. So you don't have to wait till the end of your programme to use those. Why not go on a yearly basis and just build up your CV from there, and they can really help you in terms of not just staying in the UK, but also working from around the world. So definitely get involved in that and use them to your full facility. And then joining a university society, a sports club, or doing a part-time job. These are all opportunities that are open to you, and they're going to allow you to make more friends and just get the most out of your university experience. Okay. So then moving on, so graduation ceremonies in the UK are also great. There'll be the culmination of all of your studies, and it's a great experience to go through, and it's a very big process in terms of the UK, and something you should definitely look at getting involved in. So in my university, for example, we're very lucky that we get to use one of the oldest cathedrals in the UK to celebrate our students. It's a really awe-inspiring experience, so that's definitely something to get involved in. So then lastly, planning ahead, what can you do from here? So basically, in terms of what you can do now is you've already started. You're getting involved in open days, in student forums, in exhibitions. You're meeting with university representatives, whether it be virtually or in person, to really learn more about your options. When applying to universities, make sure you've researched the course, the entry requirements, you've gathered all the necessary documentation. Look at the applying in plenty of time, give yourself enough time to get an offer, to raise funds, to make plans. Give yourself enough time to apply for your visa. So once you've accepted your offer and you've got what we call our confirmation of acceptance of studies, which is the main document that you're given from UK universities, think about applying for your visa. Think about all of the different resources, documentation you're going to need, okay? Read all the literature we send out. We often send out offer letters, we'll send out getting started handbooks, we'll send out information on when you arrive and what we can do to help you with that. There's also things like paying your fees in advance and checking with your chosen university that you've met all the key deadlines. And then you can even do things like register online prior to your arrival. So there's lots of different ways in which you can get involved before you actually come to the university. And then if you want to hear from our current students, I've given you a link here for you to access. Yeah, go on universities' websites. We all have testimonials or videos from our current students, and these are students who are from the US, so you get to hear exactly what they've thought about their time at the universities. In terms of things like applying to universities, as I said, it's about research. So research your course, research the entry requirement. It will be different at every different institution, and as I said, we don't so much look at standardised testing in terms of the UK, so that is something for you to look at in terms of if you need any extra additional qualifications. Okay, so that's the end of the presentation there. I'm happy to answer any questions you have on programmes in the UK, studying in the UK, student life in the UK. Just feel free to message as and when you have questions. Okay, so I've got a few questions here. So I've got a question that says, is the UK a good place to study abroad for theatre design? So basically the UK will be a great place to study abroad for many, many different areas. There will be a number of universities that offer theatre design. Our university is one of those who offer a drama and theatre programme, whether it's production or whether its practice. So it's a case of looking through all of the UK universities. There are various different websites that you can go to find information on all UK universities. You could look at the Times University Guide, you can look at the Guardian University Guide, you can look at things like UCAS as well. But definitely there are some very good theatre options for you. And those could be at particular art schools, or also bigger universities in general like mine, which cover all of the different areas from the humanities, the social sciences and the sciences. If you'd like to email me on the email address I've given you up on the presentation, then I can probably tell you a bit more about the study abroad options in terms of my programs as well. Okay, and are there visiting programs you could get to see the schools in more physicality? Yeah, well, there are a number of different summer school options in terms of the UK that you could take part in if you wanted. If you're going into undergraduate or postgraduate programs, sometimes these will actually, if you've taken part in the summer school, maybe give you additional credits on your actual program, or sometimes offer a discount to students if they're taking a postgraduate program after that or an undergraduate program after that. So definitely look at it. But in terms of if you are able to visit the UK at any time and you want to come around and visit the universities, we all offer independent visits for our overseas students, because it's harder for you to make maybe some of our open days, which we do also have. Then you can actually arrange a private visit. We'll take you around the campus, we'll get you to meet with some of our existing students, and we'll also get you to meet with academic staff as well. So there's definitely those options for you. And you just need to get in touch. You could do maybe a tour of UK universities. So if you were going to come to the UK for 3 or 4 days, you could contact maybe 5 or 6 universities and do 2 in a day. It's very easy to get around the UK as well, so that's definitely an option for you. I'll see if there's any other questions. Okay, so I've had a question about how students adapt in terms of study, if it is more self-directed. Well, students will adapt very, very quickly. I mean, you have to be a student who could study independently, but your confidence will grow as you're coming into the programme. And actually we find that students start to excel because they like the fact that, you know, they really get to progress their studies as they see fit. So definitely there is a slight adjustment, but you're all in the same boat at the end of the day, and we do offer a lot of advice on how to adapt to UK study. So you do have to be quite independent, but it's not to say that coming from the US system or another system from around the world you won't do well in it. You will. It's just about pulling out those extra kind of application of knowledge, the extra kind of proactiveness in you. And I think that that definitely helps you in terms of the future as well. So I've had another question that says, how is it like out there? So it depends what you're thinking of in terms of out there. If you're looking at coming to the UK from, say, North America, it's not that different. There are some cultural differences. So again, one of the main things that you might find is different is the terminology, the language, the words we use for things. And that takes a little bit of adjustment. There's definitely some keywords that you might not have heard before, particularly within regional areas in the UK. So we do have the Newcastle accent, the Toon as they call it. We do have the Scottish accents, and each area will have regional kind of phrases and colloquialisms that they will use, but that's half the fun of getting involved. I would say in terms of the UK, the main difference I feel when I come maybe to North America or to other parts of the world is the ease of getting about in the UK. We are a much smaller entity. We have major big cities, and you know, London is one of the biggest cities in the world in terms of population and what's happening there, and Liverpool is massive as well, Manchester, but they're all easy reach within them. So it's just about that ease of kind of getting out and about. But I would say it's very similar to North America. And it's fun. The student environment is very, very fun. You can get involved in so many different areas. There's also study abroad that you could get involved in. And it's a very vibrant community, I would say. So it all depends on whereabouts you're going to be. And is it diverse in the UK? Yes, it's extremely diverse in the UK. In terms of the UK population itself, we have a lot of different nationality groups, a lot of different racial groups in the UK. And as I say, we've had a long tradition of having UK universities, students come to UK universities from all around the world. Between the different types of or different countries you could go to, the US and the UK have equally been the favourite destinations for international students. In my institution alone, we have representatives from 140 different countries. So it is going to be truly diverse. The international student populations range from about 10% in maybe some of our smaller institutions and colleges, up to as much as 40 to 50% in some of our larger universities. So at my university, we have 26% international students. So those are students from outside of not only the UK, but the EU. At someone like King University College London, it could be up to 40%. So it is definitely very, very diverse. And our teaching staff are diverse as well. So we've made sure that we have university lecturers from all around the world. So it is a very, very diverse culture that you'll get there. Okay, and then I've had another question that kind of looks at how you will interact with students who are maybe not in UK programmes. So in terms of how you interact with students who are not in UK programmes, is we do have a large study abroad. So we will have some students who are coming over just for a semester or just for a year from their home institution. So actually you'll get to interact with those students as well. And then, as I said, we're very internationally minded at UK universities. So if you're doing a study abroad or if you're doing a year in industry, that doesn't necessarily mean it's all UK focused. You can look internationally as well. We will have guest lecturers, as I say, who come not just from the UK, but internationally. And then within various programmes, we will take you overseas. So if you're doing an arts-based programme, most definitely you're going to go overseas. If you're doing an international relations programme, yes, we're going to look at taking you overseas as well. So there's going to be a lot of areas in which you get to interact with people from all around the world. There could also be research opportunities. So if you wanted to do a research degree in the UK, quite often there's an option to do it whereby you do some of your time in the UK and some of your time overseas as well, an external PhD option. So you will constantly be interacting on an international level. Okay, and I think I've had one last question, which is, what happens when you return home? Okay, so that's a good question. What happens when you return home? In terms of the UK degrees, even though they are shorter in duration, so 3 years undergraduate, 1 year taught masters, 3 years PhD, they are completely recognised in terms of the US and also in terms of internationally speaking. So as I say, it's about the contact time that you get at the universities, the focused approach that we take, which means that actually you would be studying as in-depth, if not more so, than if you were staying within the US or within North America as a whole. So these are recognised. And then we have large alumni groups as well. So each university keeps in touch with all of its alumni, and they are a great source for you to basically share your experience of UK universities, but also to give you pathways when finishing from UK universities and going on to the next part of your career. Okay, so I hope that's given you a good understanding of student life in the UK. There is a lot of academics to it. Our programmes are very challenging, are very rigorous, but it's also about having that very healthy balance between your social enjoyment as well at UK universities and the fact that you're part of this great group enjoying education in the UK, and you've got to make the most of that time whilst you're with us. Do take part in the Students' Union. Do become a university president or a student ambassador. Do take part in as many sports clubs. Learn a new sport. Take on archery, or take on lacrosse, or take on American football, or take on soccer, or football as we like to call it, or rugby. Do join the Chocolate Society, do join the Law Society, do join the Politics Society, do take part in the student radio stations. These are all things that are really going to help you to become the person that you want to be in terms of your career aspirations, but also in terms of your social enjoyment, and also in terms of your social growth. So I think just take all of that into consideration. It is a great place to study. It's a very vibrant place to study, and it could be the right place for you. It's just about doing the research and making sure it's a good fit. Okay, thank you very much for your time.